I'm glad you two are all chuckling. Welcome to Empower Hour. Today, episode 1.5 of Chakras and the Human Development. But before we get started, we have a question for our panel. And the question today is, what are you giving up in 2022? And then what are you going to create in 2023? And Coach Amy, of course, you are first, unless you'd like to pass to Angelito. Because I know you love it when I do this to you.
Yeah, I know. I don't hate that being done to me. I hate this question. There's about 50 coaches asking it on my. I know. I would just. I'm in a very direct mood today, more so than usual. I don't know. What am I going to give up? I don't know why I despise the question so much, but I'm really not a fan of the question.
Okay, so you're going to give the question up.
I think, I'm going to give the question up.
Okay. So New Year's literally means nothing to you. It's just another day.
In terms of resolutions and goals, I do a 3-month goal setting process for the following year. I don't do it. And I think that's what it is. It's like everybody's posting it right now. If someone asked me that in the middle of the year, I don't think it would annoy me quite so much. But right
they never
now,
will, because by the middle of January,
well, actually, that's
all
not true.
Resolutions will be gone.
I think that's what my resistance is like. And to give it such a short, unthought out answer, which is my biggest objection to New Year's resolutions in the first place, is they are done very flash in the pan. So I think I'm going to abstain from answering. Partly because I don't like the question. I think I don't like the question at this time of year, because it is a question I ask clients all the time through the year. But I think for the moment, without having it attached to something, without it being in part of a conversation, what am I giving up to move forward? Feels so broad and abstract. I'm going to pass.
Okay. So, Coach Angelito, what are you giving up?
What are we talking about here? Lent?
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
when we do our Lent show, I'm going to ask that same question. I'm going to say, remember back between Christmas and New Year's when you asked if this was Lent or not.
Well, I was like, I don't remember ever giving anything up for New Year's. I thought it was about I'm already thinking about what I'm gonna get for the following year. What am I gonna give up?
It's like we're all already in 2023, aren't we?
Clearly we suck with this question.
Okay. So we're just going to let the question go and we'll edit it out of there. So then we are going to just move into the chakras. So and it's funny because literally the proper way to say it is not chakra, it is chakra. Do either of you know in Sanskrit what chakra is and then what chakra is? Because back when
my husband will love you for empowering me with this information, because it drives him nuts that I can't tell him the origin of the word.
So if you're talking about chakra, it is this spinning wheel. There are 7 little spinning wheels in the old Sanskrit. If you're talking about chakra, which most people did, my old yoga teacher taught me, in Sanskrit, chakra means fecal matter. And chakra means spinning wheel of energy.
Interesting.
I know. I back then I found it greatly entertaining. And every time I hear it, I'm just like the little boy in me is like, said fecal matter. But then when you correct people, they're like, especially when you correct experienced yoga teachers, they're like, well, I haven't heard that. So today we are going to talk about the chakras and where can you guys guess where the most clear space to learn about the chakras is? It's from a TV show. It's from a TV show that was designed for 3 to 6 year olds.
Yeah,
Have
I got
you
no clue.
have you ever heard of Avatar the Airbender?
Oh, is
I
that
should know that. You
anime?
talk about that all the time, but
I
no,
don't know
I've
if I
never seen it.
yeah, I don't know if I
No,
talk
you
about it
talk about it all the time. You've talked about it often. It's one
I
I've heard
talk
you talk
about
about a couple of times.
I talk about it often because over the years, when I've had people come to me and they say that literally they're like, we would like to develop our spirituality. We go through one of two shows. That is the one of two shows. That is a cartoon that is made for very young children. And it literally goes through the development of spirituality. Beautiful. The
Oh,
other
cool.
show, just for interest, is a show called Lost that has about 132 episodes. It is about a plane crashing on an island. And when I first watched it, episode one, I'm and I first watched it years after it was done, and I knew there's 132 episodes. And I was like, how are you going to get 132 episodes as a result of a plane crashing with 48 survivors? And in the first few episodes, people were dying left and right. But you have to get that Lost is one of the most spiritual shows out there. And what most people don't know is I'll ask the question of who's the main character. And I don't know if either one of you have seen it. And the main character is not any of the humans. The main character is the island and how the island actually interacts with the people. And the island has a good energy and it has a dark energy. And the good energy is named Jacob, and Jacob actually shifts every there's a time period, but you never get the name of the bad energy. It's always just the dark smoke, and it always brings bad things. So those are the two shows that if you want to learn spirituality, you watch those shows from the aspect of spirituality.
Wow.
But I will
Didn't know that.
post a link with a YouTube video that goes through what we're going to go through today, because we are going to start through with the chakras. And then after I describe and talk about one chakra, and after we all three discuss it, Amy is going to take over. Oops, I have to do the screen sharing, don't I? Amy is going to take over and she is going to actually screen share. We're going to take a look at the human design and she's going to point to which chakra is associated with which of those parts of the banjo, as I'm now calling it, since that's what Angelito called it last week. So first off, the whole goal, if you are working in the realm of your chakras, the whole goal is to gain balance within yourself before you gain balance in the world. And as you would see in the video, each chakra is like a pool, but literally it's often described as a plate with spinning energy on. And if you really understood these, I used to do a lot of workshops in recovery centers, and I could have people close my eyes and I could have them point to where their pain is, and I could tell them what their issue is in the world. Because if you actually learn about what each chakra deals with, you can understand, especially as a coach, you can understand the root issue that people are dealing with in life. It's a very, very powerful tool. And we're going to start with guess which one, y'all know which one is the lowest chakra, or is the one that's closest to the ground? What that one's called?
The root.
It is called the root chakra, yes. Although in Avatar, it's called the earth chakra. It deals with survival and it's blocked by fear. Now, funny side note about fear, there's three different types of fear, but for the show, I'm just going to go through two of them because otherwise we're going to be here all hour. And my goal is to get this done this hour. There are two types of fear. There is real fear and created fear. And the question I want to ask the panel is, does anybody have an example of real fear, or does anybody have an example of created fear?
Yes, I'll do real fear. Amy can do created fear, maybe. Real fear is a tiger coming to get you.
That's a created
and you
fear.
actually see it.
Unless it's funny because actually I'm going to give you an okay on that. You actually have to use a created fear to demonstrate real fear. Because that's right. If you were in the forest where there were tigers and a tiger's coming at you, that is a real fear. Why is that a real fear?
Because
There is a
a
tiger.
tiger is made
You're right,
to-
right? The example that I used to use in workshops is a gun. If a gun is pointed at you, that is a real fear, simply because if that little piece of metal reaches its designed velocity, it is going to go through you and do a lot of damage. Now, panel, what would you say is a created fear?
You and I are going to have very different philosophies around this, is my
We probably
first
are, but
inclination. But things like stage fright, where we create the
Yeah.
risk that there's not actually a risk, is the most obvious answer to me at the moment.
Brilliant, like stage fright or a fear of spiders or
any fear around the future.
well, yeah, any fear that's not happening right now that you're creating in your mind and living as real. That is a created fear. And if you go back to a guy named Earl Nightingale back in the 50s, he actually did some studying and he said that most 92% of your 92 to 93% of your fears are simply created fears based upon your past or your future. And he said that literally 7 to 8% of your fears have the potential to be real. Yet if you look at people, especially people that have deep anxiety, they live as if their created fears are real, and that's what paralyzes them. So the earth chakra, the color of it is red. And now I want to turn it over to Amy. Amy, can you show us where in the human design this root chakra, or the earth chakra as they call it, where it's located?
So the obstacle with the human design stuff is that they disagree. So I can I just want to point out, so there's two main schools of thought around this. One is that because of the download that Ra Guru, I think is his full name. Forgive me if I've got that wrong. The guy that created the originator of human design, who had a very regular name before he changed it to his more Middle Eastern kind of name. But so there's two schools of thought. One is they can't be compared, because when we upgraded from the 7 center body to the 9 center body, it didn't just add 2 centers, it actually upgraded all of the centers. And so there's no direct correlation. And then the other school, well, according to one school of thought, according to the other school of thought, there is a direct correlation with the 2 extra centers added in. So it depends on which school of thought we go for as to which is accurate. It's all hypothesis, really. There's no evidence to support either hypothesis. So if we go with the school of thought that they don't correlate, then the conversation ends, which kind of seems pointless. So let's go with the school of thought where there is some level of correlation. And that it will just align. So the root chakra, the root center of the human design is this bottom square.
Perfect. And that is kind of why I would like to point out that Angelito, our world traveler, if you were to put his up there.
I can share our threesome.
Yeah. His is literally free flowing. Like there's nothing really connected there. Yours actually makes a circuit and mine makes a partial circuit. So quite literally there is.
Well, let's explain which is which.
Okay, so the one on the left is Angelito's. The one in the center.
Angelito has an open, which means there's nothing coming off it at all. Mine is defined because it's lit up, and then Jim's is undefined because it has some gates and channels coming off it.
Yes.
Some gates, no channels. Sorry, just gates.
Oh yeah, some gates, no channels. And Coach Amy is our human design expert. So yes, we will pick up on that. So that is the earth chakra. Does the panel have any questions before we move on to the second chakra?
Did we talk about or did Amy share what makes it different from the traditional chakra, like in how the root chakra is used in human design? Did we cover that?
I don't think we'll go into that today. So like I said, there's the two schools of thought, and one school is that they do have that direct correlation, at which point there's not the differences. The other is that there's nothing to compare, at which point the differences are infinite. And
Right,
so
right.
in terms of sharing examples, I don't know that I'm up for that.
Okay.
So if you go with the school of thought that they correlate, then they correlate reasonably accurately. It is there's not a huge amount of difference. If you go for the school of thought where they don't correlate, then we have to go back to teaching the entirety of the piece. So for this conversation, I'm going to go with the school of thought where they correlate somewhat, and there's two extras, and go with that.
Perfect. Okay.
Cool.
Go ahead and stop your screen share, and we will move on to the next chakra. So do y'all know what the second chakra, and the second chakra, I'm going to say this is the most misunderstood chakra. What is the name of the second chakra?
The solar plexus?
It is, no, it's not. No, that's the
No.
third.
Sacral.
Oh,
It is the sacral chakra. Exactly.
Sacral.
Now in Avatar the Airbender, it's called the water chakra. And like I said, this is the most misunderstood because there's a lot of people out there that will tell you, well, this is the sexual chakra. And the truth of the matter is our sexual organs are located here, but that does not make it the sexual chakra. The water chakra, it deals with pleasure and your relationship with people, and that's all people. Not just the gender you're attracted to, or not just what you're attracted to or what you're not to. It deals with pleasure and your relationships to people. It is blocked by guilt. And so it deals with relationships to people, and it also deals with pleasure, and it's blocked by guilt. And the color of this one is orange. It's located basically 3 fingers below the belly button. And at this point, we'll turn it over to Coach Amy, who's going to give us one of the two that shows which one in the human design deals with the second chakra or the sacral chakra.
Yeah, so the root and the sacral, and the solar plexus are all named the same, which makes it very, very easy. So the root is the bottom square, the sacral is this middle square. All three of us have that defined.
Yes. Which we all three are very people-oriented humans.
It's also, I don't know whether this aligns with the chakras, it's also one of the active centers within human design. So it's one of the things that has us create momentum, movement, and go out and do stuff, which I suspect if you get rid of the guilt, what's the opposite of that? So you said guilt blocks it. What's the gift in terms of the chakras?
So it deals with basically pleasure and your relationship with people, and it's blocked by guilt. So
and
this
it's
one
also your relationship with yourself, no?
And your relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
Although to some extent, I think all of these deal with the relationship you have to yourself.
So in human design, it's often referred to as the desire center, which I think would align with the pleasure center from the chakra. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Yeah, the chakra. It's almost like chakra.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so it's that
shock.
second.
Yeah, the second one there. Okay, perfect. Any questions about the second one? The color of it is yellow.
So if you'd like to clear that chakra, you remove guilt.
You just look at where does guilt live in your life? Where are you guilty about things?
Right. So you remove guilt to clear that chakra.
Or you find a way to accept the guilt such that you are not burdened by it. Does that make sense?
Sure.
We
Just to-
create stories, and it's like when you can see it. I mean, the best example here is someone who's been sexually traumatized. Oftentimes they feel very guilty for what happens. And if you can do the work to process it to where you can let that guilt go and accept what happened, accept the life event. And this is very difficult. I explain it very simply, but that does not mean it's easy. Especially with this chakra. You know, we are such a sexualized society, at least here in America. I don't know if Australia has, you guys are more British, and British.
No, there's enough American influence that it's leaning more towards being more sexualized rather than less sexualized.
Is it? Okay. Okay.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah. So the third chakra is located 3 fingers above your belly button. And what's this one called, Angelito?
The solar plexus.
It's the solar plexus. In Avatar, it's called the fire chakra. It deals with your power in the world and your internal willpower. It's blocked by shame. And the best example is when something happens and you literally feel gut punched. You like just lose that. It's like literally you feel very shamed. And oftentimes, like as children, when they make fun, the kids feel very filled with shame. That is taking your willpower and your power away in the world. Colors yellow. And Amy, where does this one sit in the human design?
So the solar plexus is this triangle just here.
Okay.
There are elements of what you said that correlate with the general definition of that solar plexus. There's also elements of it that correlate with the ego center or the heart center.
Yeah.
So, and this is where it's hard to have the direct correlation across.
Yes.
So there's, I mean, the solar plexus, they have the same name. In terms of human design, it focuses more on the emotions and the feelings. And then that internal will is actually in the ego center, which is where they start to differentiate a little bit. But technically, it should be the solar plexus.
But I would almost say technically it's probably a little of both of those. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which is where that direct correlation starts to fall apart.
Absolutely. And because there's 9 centers, we're going to have the direct correlation fall apart in a few of them. But if you know that, it's something that you can understand about yourself.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Any questions about the solar plexus? The color's yellow like the sun. It's often referred to as like your power center. And if you think about it, the sun provides the power for our planet. So, yeah. Any questions?
Oh, good.
Okay. The next one, go ahead and stop the next one is literally called the heart chakra, and it's right here. It's basically the center of your chest. And what does it deal with?
Motivation, desire,
love,
strength, love.
I don't know. and what's it blocked by? It's blocked by grief, right? It's blocked by a broken heart. Colors green, and it sits right here. So it deals with love, and it's blocked by grief. And if you think about heartbreak, that is we have a lot of grief there. So Amy, go ahead and take it over. Where is this? Again, this might be one that deals with a few of them, correct?
Yeah, so we start to lose out the direct correlations at this point, even more so. So the love and the direction, based on what you just described, is held in the center, the G center,
Okay,
which is the sideways square, the diamond. There's
the
a
diamond
word for that, the diamond. But technically, the 4th chakra is associated with the heart center. So it's a toss up between the two, depending on how we look at it.
Yeah.
This one really connects the the solar plexus up into the heart. So if you're following along that direction, you can see how this just becomes the bridge between the two. Originally, though, this was, so the ego center or the heart center, depending on what you want to call it, was in the original 7, whereas the G center and the spleen, which has another name that I can't think of it right this second, weren't in there originally. So the original 7 was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these 2 were added in 1781 when we discovered Uranus. My year may be off, but I'm pretty sure that was the planet.
Okay.
With a 90% accuracy confidence.
Yeah.
Originally it was the ego or the heart center, depending on the way it's named, but the G center definitely has some crossover in terms of looking at love and direction. So if we go to direction, though, we probably move away from the traditional 4th chakra definitions. And so, they, like I said, they don't quite correlate directly.
Brilliant. And the color of the heart chakra is green. Now, the next one is the 5th chakra. Any idea what this 5th one is called?
That's the throat chakra. Isn't it?
It's the throat. In Avatar the Airbender, it's called the sound chakra. This is the chakra of addiction. And any idea what this deals with? And it is your voice, but what does it deal with specifically?
Your message.
Your ability. It deals with truth, and it's blocked by lies. And the thing is if you take a look at addiction, what do a lot of addicts, if you ask them, if you go up and just say, hey, I'm really worried about whatever it is, what is the first thing they will tell you?
Generally that they're fine if they're still in that denial phase.
I'm fine. I don't know what you're worried about. Everything is fine, right? When you believe your own lies, you can begin to lie to others. And one of the things I know about us as spiritual beings is that we cannot lie about our own nature. And at the end of the day, our nature flows from love. So this 5th chakra literally gets to be your ability to express in the world. Now, the funny thing is that we all lie. We may call them little white lies. We may not intend to, but we all have it. And it's literally when we commit to being as truthful as we can, that is how we clear this one. It deals with truth and it's blocked by lies. The color of this is blue. And Amy, you want to take over and look at the human design? Where does this one kind of fit?
Yeah, so I think this one correlates quite closely. Can I just get you to clarify? So you said we cannot lie about our true nature?
One cannot lie about their true nature. Our true nature is love. You cannot deny that. You take a look at a little baby. When a little baby is first born, it is born of love.
Yes.
And it comes from love. It's the human condition that fractures that.
I feel like I'm misunderstanding you somehow, because I hear people lie about their true nature all the time.
Right. Exactly.
But what you said was we cannot lie about our true nature.
Well,
so
no,
I'm missing a piece.
You want that chakra to be flowing and free.
You want that chakra to be flowing and free. Yeah. And I'm just
so
saying,
it's not humanity, that we can't lie about our true nature.
We do all the time.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's not that we can't, it's that we create chaos for ourselves when we do.
We create chaos. That is a beautiful way that is a phenomenal way. Yeah. I actually I'm going to steal that.
Go for it. Just the way you said it is like, we cannot lie about our true nature. I'm like, I lie about my true nature all the time. I've heard clients lie about their true nature. So it's not that we can't, it's that we're going to fuck ourselves up when we do.
Exactly.
Create chaos was a softer way of.
Yes. I'm like, yes. So which
Sorry,
one
I
is
just wanted to clarify, because I'm like, there are people that are going to hear that and go, we cannot lie about our true nature. Therefore, what I say about my nature must be true. No, that's not accurate. We lie all the time to ourselves.
That is correct.
So the throat chakra is this third square, or the fourth if we're counting the diamond as a sideways square, because my language eluded me before. So it is this square just here. So Angelito and I both have it defined. Angelito's got far more gates coming off his than mine. And then Jim, yours is undefined.
Yes.
Which in essence means that Angelito and I have more fixed ways of communicating. You have a more fluid approach available to you.
Which kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So that is the fifth chakra. So the sixth chakra, any idea what the sixth chakra is called?
Third eye.
Third eye. In Avatar, it's called the light chakra. We call it third eye. It deals with insight and intuition, and it's blocked by illusion. And the greatest illusion all is the illusion of separation between us. That is the greatest illusion of all. So it's located right here, the pituitary gland. Any questions? Does that make sense?
What was
Makes
the thing that blocks it?
It's blocked by illusion.
Illusion.
In Avatar, they talk about the illusion of separation. Right now in our society, we have huge illusions of separation. Yet at the end of the day, we are spiritual beings that are experiencing our world experiences. We are all, at our core, we are love, and we are just spiritual beings. So do we have a correlation on this one? Yeah, where's this one represented?
So it's called the Anya or the Anya. I'm not entirely sure the pronunciation. So what happens when you learn through reading, you don't know how to actually say it. And people say it differently depending on which videos I'm watching and which accents are playing out. It seems to correlate somewhat. The other piece that seems to come in though, which is the center of awareness, which is this spleen center, because intuition is very much down here in this triangle to the side. So it'll depend on which pieces, and again, this is where we lose that direct correlation. Technically, this is called the Anya Center, which is another name for the third eye, depending on where you study and where you go through. And it taps into insight in this center. So it's our thinking, and our not just thinking, but the processing and the connecting with wisdom here. But in terms of intuition, that's far more likely to be found down in this triangle piece. So you kind of get both of those come into play depending on which angle we're looking at it from.
I like that about the human design, that it actually shows like two of them here, because literally, if you think about it, your intuition connects you with that one to almost everything but the seventh chakra. If you put that the little one to the left there, the little triangle to the left there, that's quite amazing.
Yeah, which again is that upgrade from the 7 to the 9, and it separates insight from intuition. And I think that's a really nice separation to have, because insight tends to come from our head, and it tends to come from our experience and what we've learnt and an interpretation of that, whereas intuition it's far more aligned with gut feeling and that other areas. So that separation of insight and intuition into the two different centers gives us a different experience of that.
Brilliantly differentiated. Yes. So that is the third eye.
Beautiful.
Colors indigo. So anybody knows what the seventh chakra, what that one's called?
The crown.
The crown chakra. And this is the one that deals in the avatar, it deals with pure cosmic energy, which some of us would say God, Yahweh, heavenly spirit, spirit, whatever you call that greater power outside of yourself. And any idea what blocks this one? Human attachment.
I was going to say, just being human feels like
Right? Right? Just being human, exactly. And in the avatar video, and I will post that link in the Empower Hour, in the avatar video, Aang says the funniest thing because he's here. He's like, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? You mean that just love is my attachment, because he actually loved a character named Kateri, and he's literally like, what do you mean? Now love is bad? 3 chakras ago, this was a good thing. So and one of the things that I love about the show is in this one, it basically says, meditate on what attaches you to the world. Let it go. It's learning to let your attachments go. And that surrender is probably one of the most difficult things that we as spiritual beings in a human experience do, is learn to surrender. And if you think about what you're attached to, and if you emotionally think about not only what you're attached to, but even the emotion that goes with that, because there are some people out there that to say they are angry is an understatement, but they often get attached to that anger. Oh, Amy, what? The look on your face.
Hang on, let me choke first. The look just then. So in human design,
Yeah.
there are several not self themes that come through depending on the type. And I'm not a huge fan of the type side of things, but the not self comes through. So one of those not selves is anger, which is the manifesting types response. And so anger, and it is that righteous anger. So for the majority of us, anger is an emotion that gets in the way of us connecting with ourselves.
Yes.
Whereas for the manifestors, anger is actually their guiding light to know where they're off their path. And so when they're experiencing that righteous anger, that is their light post to say, I'm misaligned with my path right now. And so for them, and what struck me, and it's always what I do, I'm like, for some people, there's got to be a gift in anger. And for some people, anger is not. So for me, anger plays a little bit of a part, but frustration is normally, if I get to anger, it's because I've ignored frustration for too long. So I feel frustration and ignore it, it turns into anger. And it's not a righteous anger, it's an indignant anger and a ungrounded anger. So for me, my not self theme is frustration, but for the manifestors, that not self theme is anger. And so when you said about anger, I'm just like, there is that piece where anger is actually a valid emotion, as is frustration, and it's worth listening to and tuning in. So it's anger, frustration, bitterness, and I apologize that I can't remember what the fourth one is off the top of my head. It could be resentment, potentially. And
That's
there may
quite
even
brilliant.
be.
Wow.
Yeah.
So knowing what our not self indicator is plays a part into, and I think anger is being so vilified, particularly in the personal development world. It's like that anger is, you need to get rid of all of your anger, you need to let it go. But experiencing it, particularly for those of us that have frustration, because often we'll dismiss our frustration instead of, hang on, what's the message? So when I'm frustrated, and I've been getting better and better at this over the last couple of weeks with the new found awareness, but I've been doing it for years. I'm like, what's the message held in this? What's the gift? What's the there's a book that my son and I wrote years ago, and we looked at boundaries, needs, and emotions in the book based off one of my mentors' models. But the questions, I'm just looking to see if I've got the book because I can't remember the questions off the top of my head. But looking at those questions and just tapping into this emotion, is whether it's sadness, anger, fear, guilt, whatever the emotion is, there's a gift in it and there's a message in it. And when we can pause and connect with the message. Now, if I've got anger, it means I ignored my frustration for way too long. And generally by that point, I can't connect anymore. If I listen to my frustrations, and the mild frustrations, like those socks are pissing me off, those post-it notes on my desk are annoying me because I'm living out of alignment with who I am. If I listen and realign myself in that frustration, whereas for the manifestors, as far as I understand, it's not my type, it's not my experience, they don't have that buildup of frustration into anger. They just come out with anger, and it is a righteous anger, and it's their indicator that they're not in alignment with self and they're being pushed off their path. And so it's worth listening to. And for my daughter, who is a projector, it's bitterness. And so when she's sulking, she does bitterness very, very well. It's not an emotion I have a great relationship with, but she will do bitterness. And to me, that's now feedback. It's like I've just pushed her off her path. I'm pushing her into her not self. And so when I see bitterness in her, then I'm like, okay, what have I got to connect with here? And resentment was the feeling for reflectors, which means I've missed. No, because it's only the 4 types. So it's the reflectors, the projectors, the manifestors and manifesting generators, and the manifestors.
Yes.
So that was what my face was when you said about anger. I'm just like that.
Okay.
For some people, there are going to be where that anger is actually founded, and it's their indicator that they're misaligned with their path. And for others of us, it is an indicator that we've been ignoring ourselves too long. And for others, it's not the emotion we're meant to be tapping into or listening to. So it's worth knowing which of those emotions is our not self theme and which of those is our guiding light to follow our own path.
Brilliant. And can you show us on the human design where the 7th is?
Yeah, so the 7th is this top one, which is called the crown, and it is connected to inspiration through, which is a variant of that cosmic energy that comes through. So the inspiration from above. So there's 2 pressure centers. So the top pressure center is our inspiration and what drives us through inspiration. And then the root center is a pressure center driven by more earthly needs and desires. And so they come in from top and bottom. But so the 7th one is this top one.
Brilliant. And the 3 of us are just a little bit different here with this 7th one.
Yeah, so Angelito, I believe, is completely open. Can't quite see clearly. I can't see any gates coming off his.
Yeah, he is completely open, no gates.
Yeah, so that is so the completely open are where those journeys have been taken. Well, this is what they say. It's where the journeys have been taken and you have the potential for complete wisdom. There's no attachments, no agenda, nothing driving or determining your destination with that. So the open centers are completely open and are available to go to a higher level of enlightenment. For those of us that have an undefined center, which is you and I, Jim, the gates coming off provide some definition. It's just not the center is being defined. It's just pieces of it. And so we still have lessons to learn in these areas is the essence or the message of it. And then when they are completely defined, we've got a set way and a set path that we're learning in this lifetime.
Right.
So, yeah, so the completely open allows for all possibilities. The undefined, which has the center is undefined, but there are gates coming off. There is still some learning, some pathways there that we're following, and still a specific journey that we've got or a lesson to learn, depending on the angle that we look at it from. And then if they are defined, there is a much stronger level of that in play.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Brilliant. Thank you. Any questions about any of the chakras from either of you?
I don't know if I missed it, but the root chakra, what was the driver and the block there?
So survival. So the root chakra, it's blocked by fear, and it deals with your survival. And if you think about being rooted in the earth, like if you think, like, to me, the example is, go way back when, if the mastodon is coming at you and you're down close to the earth, you have a better chance at survival. You know, it's being ground. I mean, the difference between the three of us is really quite incredible, because I almost consider Angelito a free spirit. Like, you love to travel. Your whole career is based on people traveling. I did that, right? And you're the other example, Amy, is that you really, like, if I were to say, hey, you need to come to Burning Man next year, you'd be like, not only am I not leaving Australia, but I'm not going to go to that festival.
It'll depend on what it is. So when I was creating my planners 7 years ago now, I think it is, I did take a trip to China to go and look at meat factories and connect with people. And yeah, so it'll depend on what it is, but it's got to be something that lights me up and I can connect back to the purpose. So I will travel to get what I need. It's just not, I won't just travel just for the sake of it. I'm certainly not going seeking sunsets and sunrises in different locations. Which I know Angelito loves, which is why I said it.
Right. And I kind of do love that aspect of travel. Not as much as Angelito, but I'm kind of in the middle between you two.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll travel for a purpose. I used to go down to Melbourne, which I know is not leaving Australia, but I used to go to Melbourne every 6 weeks for my coach training school and was down there very, very consistently. But I also had no aversion when we went into lockdown for COVID. I was more than happy to move to an online, never leave my living room. And I did as much time online, actually probably did more time online because I didn't have to travel. I didn't have to organize childminding, didn't have to organize any of that kind of stuff. More than happy just to sit in my living room and have the world come to me through online mediums. But yeah, if it aligns with me and I really want to do it, I will find a way, but it's got to align and it's got to align with my purpose. And it's not travel for the sake of travel.
Yeah, that makes sense. And if you're listening to this out there, what are you getting from this?
I don't think there is such a thing as traveling for just a sake of traveling.
You don't think you do that? You love adventure.
But people like me, it's not for the sake of traveling. It is a pull. It is what I'm drawn to. It is something that it fulfills me. So that, and it completes my purpose. It is not just to travel for the sake of traveling. It does something for me. I get something out of it. So I don't know,
yeah, my language was probably poorly chosen because I don't understand it, but I suspect that you have far more frequent pulls than I do. So I was pulled to go to China, which is once in my 40 something years, whereas you get that pull far more regularly than I do.
Yeah, and it's like, when you look at my chart where with the root chakra being open and the crown chakra being wide open, it works hand in hand. Like, if I feel like, travel for me and going to and discovering new places, that is my church. That is my meditation. And like, I don't like to imagine what it would be like to sip wine in Italy, like in Tuscany. I want to go there and experience it and smell it with my own nose and see it with my own eyes and touch it and feel the air and like feel the breeze and sip the wine and just use all of my senses. Like, that's something you get on a screen. And for me, that's important. So that's one of my drivers. So that definitely makes sense that I have both shutters open.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really does. It so definitely does.
Makes perfect
So,
sense.
okay, well, if there's no other
Beautiful.
questions, we're going to end this one at this point. And next week
That was
is
good. That was informative.
part-
Thanks, guys.
yeah. And next week is
And
part
lady.
2 of the human design. So we're going to be even taking maybe even a deeper dive at it. So
Yes, I shall explore what I
Yeah,
feel
what-
called to share.
Gonna
brilliant.
be.
Brilliant. You know,
cool.
the interesting thing I will say about this is my flatmates who have been married 10 years, I did both of theirs. And let me tell you, I know why they've been married 10 years. And I know, like, you can look at the two of them and it's like, oh, no wonder they literally fit together incredibly well. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, I think next week we'll
Cool.
probably look
Wow.
at the electromagnetic connections and the compromised connections in charts, because I think that is a piece. I can definitely see that on my own chart with my husband. We've been married almost 18 years in 3 days. So we will have been married 18 years by the time our wedding
Happy
anniversary is
anniversary.
New Year's
Congratulations.
Eve.
Happy anniversary.
So, thank you.
I know, I finally saw a picture of him.
Yeah, so but I can see why we've stuck together and why we've worked so well, and what I bring to him and what he brings to me. So we may dive into unpacking that. If your flatmates are open to it, I'd happily look at theirs as well, Jim.
I
may
will
find
see if I
another.
can get their permission to do that, because
Yeah, so I won't
was-
do it without their permission, but
yeah. So, okay.
Cool.
and I will dive deeper into our own electromagnetics and our compromised charts, and we can explore the three of us a little bit more as well.
Thank you so much.
Fun.
And if you've been listening, thank you for listening and thank you for supporting us. And we look forward to seeing you in 2023. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thanks, Jim.
Bye,
And
everyone.
Angelito.
Oh. Okay, we're ended.
And you still got the recording going.
I know. I'll stop this one.